Hey guys, what is up? So years ago, I had a friend say to me, you are absolutely afraid to let yourself be happy. And I'll never forget that statement because I remember when she said it, I really sat and thought about it. And as much as I thought I was healed, I realized that I was still absolutely terrified to get into another relationship. I had really worked on myself, but the thought of letting myself actually be happy and not always being paranoid about a shoe dropping or something not happening and just having this mentality that I always had to depend on myself was something that I realized was kind of the side effect of what I had been through. Now, I know a lot of you are in a similar boat, and that is why this topic is really important to talk about and discuss and figure out how is the best way to really heal and overcome this fear, because I think sometimes people carry around this fear of letting themselves be happy, this fear of vulnerability, this fear of going after things that they want in their life, this fear of being in relationships, of being in love again. And you deserve love, connection, happiness, all the things that you want for yourself. And in this video, I want to give you what you can do to start overcoming your past. This is more about not just living life, but opening yourself up to real, true happiness. I think when you come out of any kind of trauma, abuse, and look, let's just be honest, we all come out of this life experience. We all come out of different stages of our life with something good and something that isn't so good, something that we're supposed to really learn from and something that really opens ourselves up again. So when you're coming out of really difficult situations, narcissistic abuse, trauma, a breakup, heartache, anything that you've been through, emotional abuse, manipulation, gaslighting, low self-esteem, depression, anxiety, anything that you're overcoming right now is something that was meant to be in your life to teach you something. But it is hard. It's hard to go through such pain, such heartbreak, such disappointment, such betrayal, such violation, all of those things, and come out with no scars. I had serious walls up. I was absolutely terrified. I was terrified to let people in. I was terrified to be vulnerable. I was scared of real intimacy. And it wasn't about me being scared to really be myself. It was more about when I am myself, what are you going to do about it? Are you going to be able to be there for me? It was about a lot of disappointment, a lot of betrayal, a lot of things that I had been through that caused these walls to form. And if you're watching this, you probably have walls yourself. And rightfully so. You've been through a lot and you're trying to protect yourself. You're scared to get into another relationship. You're scared of all the what ifs. It is trauma that you have been through. The thing with trauma and going through these situations is there's so many layers of healing. There's healing in terms of your own self and learning how to get better and self-love and working on yourself. But then there's healing in terms of vulnerability. And usually that vulnerability started many, many years ago. When you feel like you are the only person that you can depend on, that is a side effect of trauma. And it's also a sign that you're going to really be scared to let yourself be happy and open and vulnerable. That feeling of feeling like you can never really depend on people, that when you do try to depend on someone, that someone lets you down, that feeling is definitely crippling. I always knew that I could depend on myself, and I always knew that my work ethic was there. For me personally, it was about turning that work ethic, that independent girl boss thing, and achieving goals, and goals that I didn't really ever think that I actually could achieve, and working through that mindset and trying to reprogram myself on what I was actually capable of. So for me, I always knew that I could rely on myself in a lot of ways, but the ways where I was really letting myself down was emotionally. Was I judging myself? Was I shaming myself? Was I able to soothe myself and help myself, or was I just always making the situation worse than what it is? So in a lot of ways, you can depend on yourself. Maybe you are a goal setter. Maybe you can achieve things. Maybe you have a high work ethic. Maybe when you put your mind to something, boom, it's done. But on an emotional side, are you dependent on yourself? Can you rely on yourself? Are you actually the friend that you're really looking for? So for me, I learned how to depend on myself for physical things, for goal setting, that I didn't need anyone, that I could achieve things on my own. But And that's not healthy either. But on the emotional side, I was not really always there for myself. And because I wasn't there for myself on that side, I really relied heavily on outside people or things or situations to go the way I needed them to go in order for me to feel okay. And the reason for that was because there was a void that I was trying to fill, and I was completely unaware of this. So when you feel like there's really no one that you can ever fully depend on, the reason why you're feeling that is because, number one, what you've been through in your upbringing, your childhood, and past experiences has shown you that when you try to rely on someone, that they let you down. So being faced with betrayal, disappointment, no empathy, all of those things, because that had been the norm for a good part of your life, you created this program that says people are unreliable. The other big reason why you really feel like at times you can't depend on anyone else but yourself is because you are not stepping up to the plate to now be the person that you need to be in order to actually take care of yourself. You're still relying on the approval, validation, the love. You're looking for someone to be that person for yourself rather than you actually doing it for yourself. Now that's called being mentally healthy. That's called self-love. It's not about not having people in our lives that can motivate us and be there for us and give us empathy and not judge us and validate us. It's not about that. It's about you being able to do it for yourself when you really feels as though you are equipped to take care of yourself in all levels, not just goal setting and being an independent woman and I got this and I can achieve this and I have a high work ethic. Those things are important, and maybe those are things that you yourself are lacking in your life. But if that's not the case, you really want to look at your emotional health. Are you able to really fully be there for yourself in emotional ways? If you're not, then you will always be so incredibly disappointed when someone can't step up to the plate. Now, another sign that you're really afraid to let yourself be happy, you're afraid to kind of open yourself up and live a freer life and allow yourself to actually be happy and achieve things, is really this fear of control, this losing control that you have that's way deep in the back of that mind, that you need to be in control. You need to have things a certain way because of this rigidness with life and this controlling behavior that you, or tendencies that you have at times, really prohibits you from being free. In a lot of ways, control is not always a bad thing, but if you feel as though at times that you can be a control freak, then all of these things are going to resonate with you. Controlling behavior is really just a defense mechanism. It's a fear of uncertainty that you have, and it's wanting a sense of security and stability. Now, of course, the psychology obvious version of this is that you have felt very out of control at times. So when you had a lot of instability in your life, a lot of emotional instability, physical instability, all of those things, then it's going to cause you to want to seek control, because in that defense mechanism that control will give you a sense of security is actually not even true. There is no security in life. And that's the vulnerability of life, and that is the vulnerability of relationships. And when you become comfortable with vulnerability, now, how do you become comfortable with vulnerability is self-parenting. Self-parenting means that I'm going to be able to take care of myself, that I can take care of myself, and practicing how to do that. When you do that, it doesn't mean that you won't experience pain. So vulnerability is basically you opening up to the possibility of being let down, or the possibility of feeling something uncomfortable, whether it's pain, disappointment, whatever. No one wants to feel those things, but vulnerability says that I'm willing to take the risk that I could possibly feel these things, or I could possibly not feel these things. So when you are living a happier, freer life, you are open to the possibility. Now, the reason why people are open to possibilities of pain, really, is because they want to experience the highs of happiness, of love, of connection, achieving goals, all of those things. So they're willing to take the risk. They also understand that if I were to experience any of those painful things, that I will be fine. That yes, I may not be fine in that moment, but I will recover. It is the thought, the story, and the fear that you will never be able to recover that causes you to stop and put walls up. Now, the fear of disappointment. The fear of disappointment, if you really have a fear of being disappointed again, this is more of the situation where you're assuming that what has happened could possibly happen. So you're making a lot of assumptions that because this marriage didn't work out, the next one wouldn't work out either, or you're just scared of being vulnerable again, of putting yourself in the situation where you could possibly feel disappointed because you have felt that disappointment at one point and it was so significant that it caused a wound to initially just stay with you. When you feel as though your happiness that you maybe once had, because remember, the fear of disappointment is based on assumptions. You had to have experienced disappointment at some point in order for you to have this fear. So when you felt as though you got what you needed and you were happy, that short-lived happiness all of a sudden has now caused this wall to come up, this fear of being in that situation again where I could possibly have what I want and then it could possibly be taken away. Because we go through uncomfortable situations in times, and it's funny because when I talk about emotional wounds, when I talk to you guys about things from your past, and I'm not just talking about childhood. Not everything that you carry around with you came from mom and dad when you were 5 years old. But throughout the course of your life, you are always experiencing things. And if they're left unhealed, they will stay with you. They will become a wound. They will become a traumatic event that lives inside of you that dictates so many things. Your happiness, how you feel about yourself, whether or not you achieve goals, whether or not you settle, the quality of your relationships, etc., etc. So the important thing here is not to just look at your childhood and examine why am I the way I am and trying to diagnose everyone and everything. It's more about understanding how to overcome uncomfortable things that we go through. When you can learn how to process how you feel, take care of yourself on emotional levels, emotional health is the most important thing that you need to be working on. Mental health is more of the logical side of you, being able to set a goal for yourself and achieve it, being able to see clearly that the story that I'm telling myself isn't real, that it's just my mind creating these thoughts, that being able to in real time understand that what I'm doing right now is just a manifestation of how I feel about myself. And one of the things that most clients have said to me over the years that has really helped them is just the practice of learning how to slow down. Learning how to slow down your mind, your thoughts, what you're doing, and not just going on autopilot all the time really allows you to start pivoting, because the way that you operate right now is just basically a set of habits. And what we're trying to do is, yes, heal some things from our past and maybe go to therapy and sit on the couch and have a good cry and get all of it out. But the part of coaching that has nothing to do with therapy is about moving forward. How do I move forward? And I can't tell you how many people I've talked to over the years that have said, I've been in therapy for years and I'm still dealing with the same stuff. I still have the same issues. I don't know how to overcome this stuff. And it's because of the moving forward. There is no real action that's being taken to change what is into something different. So in order to be free, in order to be happy, you have to learn that happiness comes from within. We've all heard this. We all understand it. Well, we all know it, but do we actually understand what that means? The fear of losing control, the disappointment, the betrayals, the things that we've been through in our past that have not been fun. Yes, those things happened and they weren't fun to go through, but those things all happened in the past. What is today is you being able to take care of yourself and understand when the past shows up in your present and doing something different so it doesn't affect how you feel right now. That's what we're all trying to do. And it sounds very easy, but try doing it in real time. Try doing it when you leave the house and someone says something, or you feel disappointed, or you're frustrated with this, or you get stuck at the red light. This is when you really are slowing down to do something differently, to have a different mindset, to switch your thought pattern, to be able to soothe yourself when you actually are feeling something. It's not about just dismissing how you feel. It's about learning how to process how you feel. If you can do that in real time, the difficult things that you go through in life will not stay with you where they dictate your life going forward. So I hope you guys have enjoyed today's video. I hope you learned a lot about really sometimes the walls that we put up, and just honestly learning how to let go of some of our past experiences that are really just influencing our present life and our future. That's what this is really about, is learning how to cultivate that happiness within, learning how to let go of some of that past, learning how to not just assume things based on things that we've been through already, and really just honestly taking better care of yourself. That's what this is always all about. Hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to subscribe. Follow me on social media, on Threads, Instagram. Everything is linked down below. If you're interested in working with me, of course, everything is down below as well for you to check out.